Hi, I'm Josh from Dread Central. How's it going?
Hey Josh, good to see you, man. Hi.
You too. So James, what's your relationship with dreams? Do you have them regularly?
It's funny. I was just saying that I don't really remember my dreams.
Mhm.
I don't generally get nightmares, if you will. So
Okay,
most of the horror stuff I come up with are just straight from my very lucid brain.
that's even scarier.
That's even worse. Yes.
And Jason, how about you? What's your relationship with dreams? Is it something that happens to you a lot?
I have dreams, bad dreams all the time, and I have night terrors. You could talk to my wife about. About once every 6 weeks, I start screaming very loudly, and I sound like an animal being killed. And she has to shake me with all her might to wake me up. So, unlike
Oh.
James, clearly I'm haunted with terrible, terrible dreams and nightmares.
Yeah,
Well,
Jason and I, we quite the opposite. I sleep really well at night.
on that, Jason, have you ever had like a recurring nightmare that you remember?
I have had a recurring nightmare. I had a very frightening boss at one point in my career, and my recurring nightmare is that I'm in my apartment that I grew up in with my dad in New York, when I was a kid. And my dad used to lie in the bed and I would lie next to him and he would reach me and put my head on his chest. And it's like I'm an adult, but I have my head on the chest of this very horrible boss I had. And I'll be reading a book and I'll kind of think it's my dad. And then I look up and I see the boss. And I've had that dream for 20 years.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that
And
is
James
terrible.
is I told this dream to James recently, and James is refusing so far, but I'm going to try and talk James into making a movie about it.
Yeah, it's far too disturbing for me. It's terrifying, and I just love that. The more I get to hear Jason talk about these stories, the more I get a peek into his psyche.
It's very
Therapist has to put
murky and
up with.
dark. Yeah, it's
And
not good.
I know, so you don't dream a ton, but have you ever been able to lucid dream in your life, James, or
You know
anything
what?
like that?
I've never attempted to lucid dream.
Uh-huh.
What is lucid
Uh,
dream? What's that?
When you can control your dreams, when you're sort
Oh,
of
I have
in charge.
those.
Really?
yeah,
Okay.
this
Yeah.
is the one to ask all these questions. I'm so boring
I
when it
Oh,
comes
have
to this.
lucid dream. I didn't know there was a name for them. I
yeah.
have them kind of often, and lucid dreams are super fun because you know you're dreaming, but it seems real, and you can do crazy stuff. You can jump out of windows
Yes,
and
yes.
I do. That's when I realize I'm in a dream, I'll do the wildest stuff, and it's really fun. And I work very hard to do things that won't wake me up.
Wow.
Okay. Okay. So what's your go-to? Like flying or
Flying,
yeah.
always jumping off a ledge, always.
I wonder what that means.
just
Oh
just make
God.
sure, Jason, in your dream, you don't hit the ground. Okay.
I know.
Yes.
That's what I do. I jump off a ledge and I fly, and I'm
Uh-huh.
always flying. And when you scuba dive, it kind of feels like that. So I have this sensation a lot from scuba diving.
That's
Um, James, why do you think this franchise scares people so much?
why is it scary? Why
Yeah.
does it scare people so much? I'm not sure exactly, but I'm gonna guess that well, firstly, I think firstly, I think people really like these characters. That they love the Lambert families, that they love Lin Shaye's character, and so when you like characters and these characters are put into certain situations that may be harmful or dangerous, you feel for them, and therefore the scares or the monsters that may jump out at them are extra potent, and I think that has a lot to do with it. That I think people don't realize subconsciously why these movies work for them is because they really relate to the characters. I'm sure if you ask people why these films are scary, the first thing they'll say is, "Oh, the jump scares, or the weird looking demons, or the creepy looking characters," right?
Yeah.
But yes, that's how it works on the surface. But beneath the surface, why it works so much better is because I think they really relate and they can kind of, they understand where these characters are coming from.
Yeah. So Jason, I find the man who can't breathe from the third film to be one of the scarier monsters in this series. do you have a favorite or scariest Insidious antagonist?
For me, Lipstick Demon is the scariest, the
Mm.
original. For me, that's the scariest one.
Yeah, he's terrifying. How about you, James?
Well, Lipstick Face Demon, just because I had a hand in shaping this thing. And as I always like to say, it's even doubly scarier when it's Joe Bashara underneath that makeup.
Yeah, who I'm a big fan of, by the way, an amazing musician.
Is awesome.
Yeah, he's great. So you both worked with Patrick Wilson so many times. What was it like working with him as a director, Jason?
Well, it was a great experience. He's like been James's muse. He's been in so many movies with James, so he really got to watch the best of the best in action. So he learned from the best, and so I am kind of reluctant to work with first-time directors, but with Patrick, I was thrilled that he wanted to do it. And thrilled. He obviously not as well as Lee and James, but third only to Lee and James. No one understands the franchise better than Patrick. No one understands what the audience is hoping for. Again, besides Lee and James, as well as Patrick, and equally importantly, no one could have gotten the original cast back together. But if Patrick is calling Rose and saying, I'm directing this, I'm in it, it's much harder for her to turn him down than it is for her to turn me down. So that played a very important role that played a very important part in how excited I was that he expressed the desire to direct this movie.
Cool.
Yeah, sorry, just to add to that, for me, it's funny because I kind of don't see Patrick as a first-time director because he's been on set with me so often, and he's always with me. And, we would talk about shots. We would talk about the character's motivation that, when I'm directing him. So it was very easy for me to picture him in the director's seat.
Cool. This franchise has done a number of different timelines and decades. And I'm wondering if that's something we might see shift again with the Threads, the upcoming sort of spinoff? And if not, where would you guys like to see this franchise go in terms of timeline or decade, James?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good question because, one of the really exciting things for Lee and myself was about the first Insidious was creating The Further, right? We felt like The Further really is like a creative platform for us to just, come up with a lot of things that are outside of the world that we're familiar with, the reality and physics of this real world with The Further, and it really allow us to kind of play around and sort of explore different things. And yes, as we played with in the second movie, and then in Red Door, is we were playing with the timeline aspect of it. Listen, maybe one day it could be exciting to visit a past period, like the medieval version of Insidious. That could be so scary, like an Insidious movie that takes place in a castle where all this weird stuff is happening. There you go, Jason. That's my next Insidious pitch.
Done.
I love
medieval Insidious.
Okay.
I love it.
Period piece. It'll be like it'd be like Shakespeare meets the Lipstick Face Demon.
Yeah, or Army of Dead Insidious.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, that is great. Congrats on the new film, guys. It's great, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.